you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No.
I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Do you think he smells? There's no way he's athletic enough to have grabbed onto Anakin's leg to swing through that door.
Josh, this is not where you say, how shiny is it? Yeah.
Sith can also spell shit.
I have a book. Hello there, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good. Get it? It's fire crackling.
Oh, this is the part where he's burning alive.
I thought you had Pop Rocks in your mouth.
I didn't know. Yeah, I said, did Sam just start a record? I didn't know what was happening. Fire. Okay. Yeah, it's a campfire. We're all going to go get some marshmallows and burn them over Uncle Anakin. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right?
Sure. Whatever.
Why not?
That sounds gross. Meat-flavored marshmallows. I like it. This is episode 347, and tonight we are talking about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew R2 versus 2 super battle droids, Jemison.
Where was that R2 in all the other movies?
I don't know. I just, yeah, R2 just, like, he took his spinach before this movie and was kind of a badass.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sam.
What?
The worst no in film history, Vector.
And Sean, you know, to kill you off in this movie, just so you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna go for a little walk here on this lava planet.
Okay.
And you know, there's absolutely no handrails anywhere on any of these things.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna inadvertently trip you into the lava. In this one.
Okay.
So no one will see you again.
But
you're gonna Gollum it up as you fall into the lava and never be seen from again.
But see, plot armor will have it so that one of those little floating shielded droids I would land on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Conveniently floating around. In the exact spot I need you to go. And then not only that, but then it will hover me around to the exact places I need it to in order to be strategic in a sword fight.
Exactly.
And making his Cheap Seat Reviews debut, Josh, when we go to arrest the Sith Lord, don't just stand there and die like a chump, from the Twist My Arm podcast.
Hey guys.
Hey man.
Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here for sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, Josh. We appreciate you coming on. And speaking of that, I really need to make that a ringtone for when my wife calls or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I never thought of that, but that might be a good ringtone for that.
Funny,
yeah,
this
I used to have my dad's ringtone used to be the Imperial March. For years, it was the Imperial March every time.
Nice.
Well, and it's so funny you say that because my actual boss and one of my coworkers listens, so he'll appreciate this. His ex-wife's ringtone is the Imperial March. And it started ringing one time when we were having a one-on-one, and he goes, "Oh, it's just my ex-wife." And I started laughing. I'm like, "Your ex-wife is the Imperial March?" And he goes, "Yeah, it seemed fitting." Okay, that's great. Oh, so let's pull up a big comfy chair that's currently floating in a river of lava and dive in, not to the lava part, but to the movie of Revenge of the Sith. That was a lot of weird.
Is it hot in here? It's super hot in here with all this lava.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, real lava, I mean, this must not be real lava because apparently you can't get within like 30 yards of real lava before it starts burning your skin. I want to say how
Star Wars lava? Come on.
Oh, is that different? Is there a different Star Wars lava?
Of course it is.
Yeah. I think space lava is probably different. I don't know. I mean, I've been to Hawaii and been near an active volcano, and you're right, Sam. I couldn't get within like 30 feet of
feet. Maybe that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty warm, you know. And,
Jedi, man, Jedi powers.
The power of hatred is more powerful than any SPF sunscreen that they need.
Exactly.
I mean, but Obi-Wan had the power of light, so that kept him away, right? Kept the lava away. I'm really not going to be a fanboy about this, I promise, guys.
No, it's okay. It really is okay.
No.
So when we, I'm trying to remember how. Yeah, so we had Jesse on and we had Ricky D. So you basically make, minus your co-life partner Kylie. Kylie? I said that right?
Kylie, yes.
Kylie,
yes.
yeah, I just want to sure. Because there was a lot of, even like in your own show, there was a lot of confusion between Kaylee, Kylie, and Callie. And that
was a bingo card on our bingo card for that show was whenever someone confused Kaylee and Kylie.
Yeah.
That would be a bingo.
Yeah. that was the thing. And then they had a listener in their chat room that was Callie. So it was
Callie.
Yeah, Callie D. It was a thing. Anyway, so you basically make 100% or the last quarter basically of the Sudden But Inevitable Rewatch podcast that we've now had here. So that's great. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. We've got a full house now.
Yeah.
The collectible
We've
cards
collected all set. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the whole set.
I'll give you guys a pose later for like a card or something.
Actually, what we need is...
Watch out, it'll go on Photoshop.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll go on the chair.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So now I remember when I said, "Hey, we're doing a month of Star Wars," you literally said, "I want to do this movie."
Oh yeah, I think I said I was made for that.
Yeah.
So
it's
there were you guys are doing some other movies, and then you were like, "For May, we're doing all the Star Wars," and I was like, "Well, I mean." Yeah, I need to do that for sure.
No, it's great, and I mean, you know, it's kind of interesting. Like you jumped all over the opportunity to do this one, and we had Cameron on from Green Shirt, who jumped all over Willow, and I almost feel bad for Jesse who did Road to Perdition, but it is a good movie, and I know he had a good time with it, and was glad that he watched it, and it's a good episode, and not just because of him, but it was a good episode.
Yeah, I've actually never seen that movie, so I didn't listen to the whole episode, but it sounded like you guys had a ton of fun, so I didn't want to spoil myself too much, and that's what you guys are saying. It was really good, so I need to actually, surprisingly enough, there's a ton of movies that I have never seen. Godfather 2 I've never seen, or Godfather 3.
Sean's there with you.
Sean,
there's a lot of
I've never seen Taxi. Or Taxi Driver. I don't know. There's a lot of movies I have not seen. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies from like the 70s and early 80s that I missed, and I'm not saying that because I wasn't born yet or anything like that. I've never used that as an excuse. They were just not accessible to me in my early days, and then when I just got old enough to watch them, they just weren't in my wheelhouse. Gangster movies have just never been in my wheelhouse. We watched Untouchables for the podcast, and we will do those. We'll probably just review those movies. I don't know. Maybe it'd be sacrilege to review The Godfather or Scarface or whatever. But anyway,
that sounds progressive to me, man.
I don't know. Speaking of Scarface, this movie, Revenge of the Sith.
Nice.
It is the third movie in the prequels and leads us right into Episode 4. Well, I guess technically it'll lead us into Rogue One. But in case you have no idea, somehow you listen to this podcast and have no idea what this movie is about, we have Andrew here to tell you all about it in about 12 words or less.
3 years into the Clone Wars, the Jedi rescue Palpatine from Count Dooku. As Obi-Wan pursues a new threat, Anakin acts as a double agent between the Jedi Council and Palpatine and is lured into a sinister plan to rule the galaxy.
Nice.
That sounds cooler when you read it.
Did you get that from Wikipedia?
No.
Is there such a thing as Wikipedia?
There is a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, almost. Wikipedia is actually such a powerful entity that when you Google Star Wars, what color is Anakin's lightsaber, Wikipedia will come up long before anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
It's what I go to for a lot of things. When someone's like, "No, you're wrong," I go, "Wikipedia says I'm right."
Actually, remember last week when I was looking up the seismic charges? That article I was reading about it was from Wikipedia.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've got a direct line to Lucas that explains everything, I guess.
They might, or Dave Filoni or somebody, I don't know. So
yeah.
Speaking of Dave Filoni, there was some big news today about Dave Filoni. It looks like he's officially an executive creator director at Lucasfilm Disney.
Ooh.
Finally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Only they could have made that decision before they made The Force Awakens. then maybe that trilogy would have made sense.
I think The Force Awakens was a fine segue into a bigger story, but The Last Jedi should have been its own movie. Like, it should have been apart from this latest trilogy. My opinion.
Oh no. We've all talked about this, where it feels like there needs to be a director's cut of that movie.
Oh my god! Give me a Snyder cut.
Right? There's like a 3 hours missing that would better tell the story in a more cohesive manner.
And don't get I love all the Star Wars movies, including the ones that aren't the best. Attack of the Clones, for instance. I really like that movie too, with all of its flaws. I get it; it's terrible. The acting is awful and sand or whatever. But I don't know. I just think Last Jedi, as good as it was, shouldn't have been part of that last trilogy.
Yeah, and if you've listened to if you're listening to this show because of Josh is here, then welcome. And so we'll take about 3 seconds to rehash this. Basically, the consensus of this podcast has been the biggest problem is Kathleen Kennedy was not in charge enough and did not create an overall arc, because JJ comes out with an idea and it was neat and fun and loud and interesting, and though it was basically a rehash of A New Hope, fine. But then Rian Johnson comes along and completely changes direction, which was interesting and fine and whatever. But then JJ was like, I didn't like what he did, and then basically undid what that movie was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so as a result, they're not all. It doesn't feel like a trilogy. It feels like there was a beginning and something, and then I'm confused. So.
Well, and every Star Wars movie, like the prequels and the original trilogy, those movies kind of coincided together as well. Maybe not as blatantly as Force Awakens did, but Episode 1 and A New Hope had some similarities to it.
Oh, yeah.
Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back had some similarities to it, like the asteroid chase scene and the finding out about weird things like the clones or the Jedi, or Darth Vader being Luke's father. Like, there were different parallels. I think Episode 3 had the least amount of parallels, though, in regards to Return of the Jedi or anything like that. I would say Episode 3 kind of stood out on its own in that aspect.
Well, because it needed to be because it's not the conclusion. It needed to be dark and kind of gut wrenching.
It was literally Empire Strikes Back tone.
Yeah,
in terms of what they had to do with it.
Yeah, they basically took episodes 2 and 3 and made it their version of Empire Strikes Back.
Did you guys notice in that opening shot when the first Republic fighter gets blown out of the sky, you see the body flying through space?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't notice. I've never noticed that before. I thought it was just ship pieces, and all of a sudden you see this body fly in. It was it's dark.
Yeah,
set the tone immediately.
Yeah, I've got some real interesting trivia about how dark this movie was almost going to be. But before we get too far into that and any farther here, I'm going to let Sam go ahead and do his 5-word review.
Oh, you want me to go there? Okay. Yeah. I've got 2 of them for you guys here tonight, and my first one is shiniest turd of the three. Right.
All right.
And then my other one is Sith can also spell shit.
Those
amazing.
both make sense. They make a lot of sense.
I've never thought of that.
I think they're really good reviews there. I can't argue with that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So as you could possibly see from my review there, I'm not a big fan. And I think it's obviously the best of the three. I think there's some stakes in this movie. People start dying. People start having repercussions for decisions. But all in all, it's the same problems from the previous two. There's the Jedi are dumb. They aren't making good decisions. They are completely ignoring very obvious trends. And hell, there's even a point when I think it's Yoda is talking with Anakin, and Anakin's turned into this goth teen that is visibly angry, and Yoda can't sense this. It's like, what is wrong with the Jedi that I grew up with? And it was bad. And the visuals, I got to give them, there's some better visuals in this one. The whole lava planet is just beyond awesome in terms of what it looks like and just the power behind it. The stupidity, of course, comes in the robots that help and how the plot armor placements of where they are. But to literally see Darth Vader get chopped in half and burn, pretty much what we thought to death. Holy crap, that was pretty powerful. But Padme, she went from bearing a midriff to being a Amish woman in this one, right? And known still being a very plain gray character. Poor Obi-Wan is still, until the final scene, he's finally able to kind of show some emotion. Even the John Williams soundtrack is used too much, especially in this one.
Yeah. And
we talked about it in the last episode as well, where it's just like, you don't have to be epic music for a ship docking at a station in a non-crucial time. So I didn't like it. However, I will admit that there are some good trends that this movie started. It's almost like Lucas had to warm up, and he swung and missed on the first two strikes, and this one maybe he fouled out fouled somewhere on this hit. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say. But it's the shiniest turd of the three. So it's shiny. There's just no substance.
No, I see what you did there.
No, Josh, this is not where you say how shiny is it? Yeah. If you're just a fan of CSR, go listen to Sudden But Inevitable podcast, and that joke will make sense.
And it's the total opposite of what I just said. So
yeah, I don't know. I respect your opinion, but you're wrong. I can't disagree with you on any of those counts at all. I watched this movie as more of a cynic this time. I was telling them before. I watched this a little bit more as someone that would actually review a movie instead of a fan that collects toys of the movies, So there was a lot of things, and Yoda not sensing things was kind of one of my biggest complaints. I was like, wait, hold up. He was just here talking to you, meditating in your dark cave, Dagobah, anybody. But he's like meditating with him, and Yoda's like, he's just like stoking the fire. He's like, oh, you're having a bad time? Let go of those things. Oh, you have someone you like? Let go of that person. Or you're going to go to the dark side. Like, it reminded me very much of a strong, like maybe too strong of a religious parent shoving beliefs down their kid's throat to the point of like going away. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
I mean, and we did get the machinations of Palpatine's strategy they finally come to light here. But even in that, did he want Grievous dead? Did he want Dooku dead? Did he plan on all this happening?
Yes.
Did he manipulate every single Jedi's mind to keep away from Anakin? Even sending Obi-Wan off to the other planet to get Anakin by himself. It's just there's a whole bunch of just useless scenes. Again, cut this movie by a good hour, and it's a slicker, more concise plot that could be better understood.
I will say back to, we mentioned this last week, and I think even the week before, where like it's so much of Palpatine's plan is just left up to chance. And
yes,
and this is another case where this plan works because he does need Dooku killed. He does know that Anakin is going to be his plan is to make Anakin his new apprentice, and in order for that to happen, the old apprentice has to kill, or the new apprentice has to kill the old one. It's the thing. So, but it's just convenient.
Prophecy or something,
I guess. But it is convenient that the Jedi Council decided to send the two guys that just got their ass beat 3 years ago by Dooku to go rescue Palpatine from Dooku. It's just, this is the plan. Yoda was like, I think this time you guys will do better. Just, I have a feeling or something.
Well, Yoda knew that Anakin's powers had doubled since the last time they met. So he evolved. He went from a Charmander to a Charmeleon. He evolved a little bit.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, he actually asked him, "Are you Irish?" And he said, "No." Why? And he goes, "Because your force is doubling."
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good pun.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Sam, I'm with you on some parts there. Again, the plan does seem awfully, just convenient, and
never mind that the robots, the droids are just meaningless as well, and there's no stakes at all with the droids. They might as well not even have them around when the Jedi are around, because the Jedi just cut through them so easily. It's there's no stakes there at all.
It's just a numbers game. If there's enough laser bolts flying through the air from enough droids, eventually they're going to hit something. I don't mind the giant numbers. I still hate the fact that the droids are acting like people. That drives me crazy. There's no reason. But yeah,
you like it in things like Rogue One.
I like that. Okay,
because Adam Tudyk is the best.
Alan Tudyk is the best,
right.
but there's not a case where
Alan. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, you're right, Alan. But it's not like when at the end of the movie when he's giving them time to climb the thing, and they shoot him. He doesn't say "ow." You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like he goes "ow, that hurt," and then it just there's none of that. I'm okay with the droids having personalities, especially droids that have characters. But it does.
What about Solo's?
L7
droid.
or L3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Again,
the one that's now the Millennium Falcon.
I guess my problem is, and I see what you're trying to do here, Sam. I guess my problem is if you're going to make an army of droids, you program them with as little to do as possible.
Yeah.
I'm saying, why give them personality?
They have a job to do. And then
their job is to kill clone troopers and Jedi. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and if that's the case, if the droids have personalities, why not the little spider droids in space, the little crab-looking droids,
the buzz droids,
ground, the bigger ones, the
buzz droids.
Anyway,
well, it's a well-known fact that most of those droids didn't have their version 3.5 update yet.
No.
I do want to. Andrew, you're getting ready to do your 5-word, but I do want to just because we mentioned it just a second. I have to say this about the buzz droids. Okay. The whole idea that you're going to shoot a missile at a ship, and in order to be quote unquote hit, the missile actually flies past you and then breaks apart in these little. That seems so inefficient. It feels like droids. If you make droids, you're making them to be efficient, and this is the most inefficient way to destroy a ship. Just if it were just regular missiles that just blew up, Obi-Wan would have died. They would have been successful. But instead we have these buzz droid things, which also is annoying because, once again, the Clone Wars has proven, and Andrew knows what I'm talking about, and the Clone Wars has proven to be better than the movies, because in the Clone Wars there is a 4-episode arc in which R2-D2 and 3 other droids, along with a very short general, go on a covert mission against the Separatists, and R2 literally fights against an army of buzz droids. So the fact that Anakin says or Obi-Wan says aim for the center eye, R2 would know that because he's already defeated like 1,000 of these things. So
yeah.
Okay.
Clone Wars hadn't come out yet, so you know.
I know.
Clone Wars tried to come in there and basically make the boo-boo better. Right?
Make things make sense.
And
Please,
it kind of does.
It
kind of does because honestly, this time watching it, when Obi-Wan screams, "You are my brother, Anakin," I now know what that means. That now has context to me because of 7 years of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
but you shouldn't have to
I don't know if
watch.
You've seen it. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
You shouldn't have to watch 7 years of Clone Wars to understand a movie.
I don't disagree.
A movie should be somewhat self-contained, and this one.
I don't disagree. That was my same argument about both Batman versus Superman, the director's cut, as well as the Justice League. I shouldn't have to have 4 hours of a movie just for it to make sense. Andrew, what were you asking me about Bad Batch?
No, I was just saying Bad Batch is kind of doing the same thing with the, in a way, with the sequels.
Well, Bad Batch, what Bad Batch is doing is pretty cool, is that it's giving us post-Episode 3
right
that we've not seen yet. It's just giving us a new perspective, because the only thing post that we've seen is from Rebels.
Have you watched that show yet, though?
Bad Batch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've only seen one episode.
I've caught up.
Man.
I'm live on it, yeah.
So we're doing a new show in the network called Quest Me, and we're reviewing Bad Batch. And I'm just so disappointed in that show right now.
No.
There's not much going on, you know? It's just, so we got to find out what a chain code is. Tight.
I think what they're trying to do is, because there's a gap in our knowledge between what happens at the end of Sith and what happens at the beginning of Rogue One or Star Wars Rebels. I guess Rebels really is. If you're watching Bad Batch, it means you probably watched Rebels. So there's a gap there of about 15 years. And so we want to...
But do we really need that filled?
We didn't need episodes 1, 2, or 3, but we got them anyway, so we might as well fill them.
Whoa, you bite your tongue.
There's a
Grandma's sweater again.
We didn't... Yeah, Grandma's sweater, exactly. We didn't need midi-chlorians, but we were given them anyway. So, I don't know.
Touche.
But also, we didn't need Rogue One, but damn, that was good.
Yes.
Yeah, it made up for a lot of other things.
Really did.
Well,
I think I want them to go more into the past. Have you read High Republic yet? Have you read those comics or anything yet?
No, I don't.
Where Yoda's just a little guy.
No.
He's only a couple hundred years old.
He's still a little guy. He's not much bigger now.
Again, we shouldn't have to these giant tentpole movies. Just like, if you think about it, the WandaVision and the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
They're basically treading water, if you think about it, because Marvel's going to treat these like, people aren't going to watch this. So the next time you see, of course, Mackie is Captain America, because Captain gave him the shield in the movie. You're not going to see the transition or what he had to go through to get that.
But I think Marvel didn't make the mistake of putting out the movies before they explained everything.
Totally. Yeah.
I like the way that Marvel's doing it, where they have those series going into it. Like, I would have much rather waited 7 years in between Attack of the Clones and Episode 3 if we got the whole series of Clone Wars to explain what was going on.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd have been way cool.
It would have been cool. But the problem is that actors age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
but technology de-ages them.
Not in 2005. we didn't have that.
I don't know, man. Just put them in the green screen; they'll be fine.
Yeah, there's enough of that going on.
Have you guys seen the picture of Sebastian Stan in the Skywalker?
Oh, absolutely.
And he looks just like him.
He could be totally. Yes, totally. I'm all for it.
I
think I have a hashtag that says Sebastian Stan is my Luke Skywalker or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen that. I need to see that. Andrew, I teased it like 7 minutes ago. What's your 5-word review?
I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
No, it's fine. This is literally why we brought you.
Works.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I think it's how most podcasts work, actually.
So I have a couple of 5-word reviews.
Yeah.
So buckle up here.
All right.
Number 1, way to start us off. The opening scene I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember being in the theater watching this and just being in awe of this entire opening scene. And I felt like it was different than any other Star Wars film that we had seen to that point.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated it a lot. This one is from my wife. And it says, amazing what a haircut can do. I know that's more than 5 words, but she was saying, Hayden Christensen, just because of this longer hair, you want to punch him in the face less. There's still some punchability there, but less. Because he, for some reason, looks more like a human.
He's got a scar now. He's a little less punchable. That's kind of cool,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And then I've got 4 more, but I'm going to combine them all into one, so get ready.
All right.
All that it takes to go from a whiny pussy to a badass is 3rd-degree burns and losing your limbs.
All right.
I thought maybe you would want to do some editing.
No, you're fine.
It's a motivational poster right there.
Yeah, and he also he turns pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
I think they could have done better with that part of the story because he started in the second, with killing of the Sand People, but then they kind of shrugged it off, right? In fact, that's what made Padme fall in love with him because he slaughtered Sand People, children or whatever, women and children, and she makes out with him. Yeah, she totally went out with that one.
Some people are turned on by weird things.
Yeah.
But it's like for all the time, and you guys who watch Clone Wars, because I have not yet, but apparently there's a big relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it just feels like that is totally thrown aside very quickly in this, when he finally believes that Palpatine and that the Jedi are trying to take over.
We have a couple of hints of the relationship when they get back after rescuing Palpatine. And he says, this I owe you one. He's like, yeah, it's now the 10th time I've saved your life. He's like, no, it's just 9. That one thing on the thing doesn't count. So like we're getting a little bit of a hint that there has been history between them for the last 3 years, as well as there was another moment where Obi-Wan is vouching for him. Like Sam Jackson says, I don't trust him. And he goes, he's never let me down before, right? Like Obi-Wan believes in him to a fault. Obviously, to a fault, and I mean honestly, Sam Jackson is the only one of the group that's like has any kind of common sense at all, and to the point that even like when Anakin comes in, because Anakin, up until like the last second when he does a hard 180, Anakin's like, "Hey, the Chancellor is the Sith. You need to go arrest him," and he's like, "Okay," and he goes, "I want to come with you," and Sam Jackson's like, "No, just go wait." And I don't know, maybe if he takes him, I know we can't change the whole future of the series, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if maybe Sam Jackson trusts him in the moment and says, okay, why don't you come with me? We could use all the guns we can get. Then maybe that situation changes or turns around. Who knows, obviously, but it has to go the way it has to go. But
speaking of
left a chance.
Jackson.
Like the Chancellor was like, yeah, go ahead. Go tell your little Jedi friends. See what happens.
Yeah.
But if Anakin came back, then it absolutely would have been different.
Yeah.
He's not gonna Sith twirl into him. He's just gonna.
I hated that so much. I just these Jedi masters just died like bitches. I mean, I know he's supposed to be the best Sith fighter ever, and we get a taste. And I forgot about Sam. You get a taste of it in the Clone Wars. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Kit Fisto got taken out like just a schoolyard chump. Like, and he's such a badass. And even in Attack of the Clones, when he like pops off C-3PO's head from the droid or whatever, and he gives that smile and just goes back to kicking ass. Like,
yeah.
And then there's 3 of them there, 3 not just Jedi but Jedi Masters, 2 of them being on the council, and I guess it's trying to show how powerful Palpatine is. But let's just talk about his rescue for a minute, because he was kind of whiny about that whole thing. Just leave him, Anakin. It'll be fine. Just leave him. We're not going to make it. Well, there's no way he's athletic enough to have grabbed onto Anakin's leg to swing through that door. No way, unless he's a Sith Lord, which he is. But.
Yeah. Someone should like, wait, did you just do that? I thought you were just a politician. What the heck?
Yeah. How do they not realize that stuff before he just blatantly tells Anakin? I mean, you don't see that coming from like 1,000 miles away.
I don't know. It's obviously not. None of them see it coming. You're not wrong. The rescue is kind of, but like, see, Anakin. That's where we kind of get back to Anakin being the good guy. Is, before the hard 180, because he's like, no, we're going to rescue Obi-Wan. He goes, no, leave him. He goes, his fate will be the same as ours. Like, Anakin is willing to die to save his master, which is really cool. And that's we're supposed, like, I want way more of that, so that when he does betray Obi-Wan, it has more of a meaning. Again, it matters to us, like Andrew and I don't know, Josh, if you've watched all of the Clone Wars, but I've watched it twice within the last 2 years. So the moment has more meaning this time watching the movie, because when he screams, "You were my brother," I'm like, yeah, he was. And especially in certain episodes, which I'm going to be vague about because of Sam, but there are certain episodes in which not only does Anakin save Obi-Wan's life, I mean, he saves his soul a couple times. In reference to the woman from Mandalore. And like, that's deep stuff that the cartoon gets into that I wish that the show could have done. And I guess I'm blaming George Lucas for not having the forethought or the insight that Dave Filoni would have later. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Clone Wars, that Mortis trilogy in the Clone Wars is one of the best Star Wars trilogies outside of the original one. Like, that whole scenario is so awesome. But I just watched Rebels again because I really love that series.
It's so good. Rebels is so
really good. And so the very ending of this movie, where Obi-Wan is dropping off Luke in the desert, held a little bit more because I just finished watching the Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight again.
Yeah, it's so good.
And he's like watching Luke as a toddler, and I'm like, oh, that's adorable.
So my buddy who I mentioned, my coworker Jeff, he has seen a fan edit where basically they have now taken this movie and inserted into it the parts of the Clone Wars season 7 that match up in the timeline. So when Order 66 happens in the movie, we see how Ahsoka handles Order 66 with Captain Rex and all of that stuff. So he says it's a little weird. And they also, I think there's even a longer version where they do, if you remember the 2D cartoon version of the Clone Wars, it was only like one season. But that cartoon deals with how Palpatine was physically kidnapped by Grievous and them. And so it literally shows the opening crawl and then like that stuff, and then we get into the fight. And he says it turns into a 4-hour movie or a 3.5-hour movie, but and you have to kind of like get your brain adjusted to the going from 2D to 3D to live, but and bouncing all over. But anyway,
I like that series a lot. Especially seeing Mace Windu and how much of a badass he actually was. With there's a scene in that old I can't even remember the guy's name, but he's a really famous. I think he's a famous anime guy that did the Star Wars Clone Wars from 2003.
Oh, it was the guy that did Samurai Jack. Yeah, I can't think of.
That's yeah. But he did like that scene where Mace like fights an entire droid army with his bare hands, and it's kind of stupid, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, there's the only part I remember from it. There's a really funny part where I can't remember, but it's the species. I can't remember what they're called, but like we see him in the cantina. It's got the weird head that looks like he looks like a
hammerhead,
like a hammerhead on top, but he's got that weird long neck. And the species is known for being able to take in huge amounts of air and then creating like a sound shockwave, right? It's like their own species superpower, right? And so Grievous is charging them, and there's a Jedi version of that, and he's doing this thing to like push Grievous back. And while one of them does this, Mace Windu uses the Force to tie Grievous's cape to like a subway car that shoots him off into like away. That's how they're able to escape. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Josh, did you do a 5-word? I honestly don't remember.
I can make one up real quick. Anakin is just the worst.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Like everything about him in this movie. I mean, of course he had to do that, but Hayden Christensen acting got a little bit better.
It's a little bit better, yeah.
A little bit, but still the way that he delivers his lines is just so putrid. But it's also I blame Lucas on that too, because not many directors are going to be like, yeah, okay, yeah, one take, yeah, we're good, yeah, move on,
yeah,
cool. Battle scene.
Don't worry, we'll CGI fix it or something.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it.
But like notoriously, that's what they would do with that. I guess George Lucas would only have them read their lines a couple times, wouldn't direct them in any sort of way. He was just like, here's the script, read the lines, do your job, I'll do the rest, basically. Is what I've gathered from like Natalie Portman interviews and stuff, where the reason they were all so bad, because Natalie Portman is a great actress. Ewan McGregor is a wonderful actor. Like all of the people are good actors, but they weren't given that freedom of, you know, maybe improvising or reading the lines differently or something. It was just what Lucas wanted is what he got. And so I think a lot of Hayden Christensen's inability to act was due to that sort of stuff. Lucas kind of not wanting him to act, you know?
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, it's a lot like taking a picture nowadays and then thinking that Instagram is going to make the filter is going to make it so much better, and then it just doesn't. Right? It just doesn't work.
Or like girls with a lot of makeup thinking that dipping your face in that gallon of makeup is going to make things better.
Sometimes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's more like the like specifically the Sam's. It's like not just that the makeup, but it's like the Instagram filter is going to make you not only look nicer, but a better person.
Yeah.
I think is the thing. My 5... America. Well, it's not just America, but yeah, America.
I know.
My 5-word is simply, that's not simply, it's this. The least worst prequel movie.
Hey, yeah, okay. I'm there with you.
Yeah. I actually don't hate this one as much as I disliked the other ones. There are parts of this that are actually pretty enjoyable. We've all mentioned the opening scene. Apart from the Buzz Droids part, which is real dumb, the opening scene is pretty great as far as an action space flying through kind of chaos as the ships are kind of going through it.
Although I think it was supposed to impress us more than it does. It was supposed to be a big one shot, right? Mm-hmm. And since it's all CG, I was, it's not as cool as if they would have done it with models or something like that. I don't know.
Well, but 19 years ago, it was still impressive, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, you're not... I think so. I think it's still a cool shot. I think it's still pretty and action-packed. I mean, yeah, it's all done in a computer, but someone still had to think it. It's the same thing with the Adventures of Tintin, right? That whole one shot with the dam.
Yeah, okay.
It's still really cool, even though it was done CGI, it's all computer and motion cap. Someone still had to think it.
Yeah, I'm looking at a screenshot from the movie right now where Obi-Wan is on the back of the lizard thing.
Yeah.
Right? And there is nothing real about this scene except for him, his body, and the head of one of the clone troopers.
The one that Cody, I
Cody.
I wrote that down in my notes. His head is not even in the suit. It's like detached.
Yeah. Well, and so, but what you're saying though, this world has been created here, and it couldn't have been done any other way. I mean, if they had tried to create this world without CGI and they tried to do it with models, it would not have been as impressive as it is. I mean, it would have been okay, I guess. But
they were able to do that in the first three.
But you think about the
new worlds.
You think about the camera shots, though, the camera angles that you can get with the CGI. It wouldn't have happened. Now, does it look completely realistic? Absolutely not. But
that's the thing
it's world creating. I think it did a good job.
In episodes 4, 5, and 6, they're just going to places on Earth. We're just going to go to the deserts of northern Africa, and now we're going to go to the frozen wastelands of Greenland. I don't know where they filmed that one. And then we're just
called Colt.
And then we're just going to go to the jungles of somewhere. Like those are all places that are here on Earth. So there's nothing fantastical about them. They just because they look like Earth. So I understand needing to CGI build out these worlds to make them fantastical and unique and weird, whatever. I'm totally fine with that. But to your point about the clone trooper with the floating head, 100% of the clone troopers in this movie are CGI. There is not one actor, one double, one extra in a suit. Not one. Uh-huh. So even as far as when Anakin is leading the troopers into fight to the Jedi Temple, that is the 501st, which is a fan group of Star Wars enthusiasts who have the suits and whatever. It would have been super cool if they would have actually had those extras. Get the dudes from the 501st, which they've done in other movies. They've actually gotten fans to be extras from the 501st, which is really cool. And I know saying we keep harping back to Clone Wars. There's a really great story about that 4-episode arc I mentioned about R2, where there's a droid that goes with him called QTKT, and it's a pink R2 unit, and it was made. There was a girl. This is the story that actually makes me cry. There was a girl who was a huge fan of Star Wars, and her dad was part of the 501st, and she had leukemia. She was like 10. And her kind of make-a-wish was to have her own droid. And so enough of the guys came together and built her a pink R2 droid. And she got to play with it and be with it for a few days before she passed away. And George Lucas heard this story and was so moved by it that they gave her a 4-episode arc in that Clone Wars. There's 4 episodes with QTKT. And how she and R2 and the other 2 droids go on a mission to save or to go on an important mission. That's why she's in there. So the fans have this great power in numbers, which is so cool and so amazing. And that's what makes Star Wars so great is stuff like that. And it's a little bit of a bummer knowing that there's not one extra in this movie that was in a suit, Well,
I would say that, so in regards to the 501st, that didn't originate until 1997. Yes, it was kind of a big deal, but I don't think it's as big as I don't think it was as big in 2003 when they were filming this, or 2004, that it is today. So I don't think that even crossed their mind then. And just like now, they were trying to be so secretive about everything that they didn't want to, I think episode 1 got ruined by some people. There was someone that worked on the movie had given away some pretty big plot details of episode 1 before it came out. Right. And so I think Lucas, being the way he is, was probably like, nah, we'll just CG it in. Meh.
Yeah. Fine. It was probably, it might be cheaper or whatever. I don't know. And I get your point about, 2003, the internet's still in its infancy in a way, getting word around to organize, hey, George, we want to be in the movie and stuff like that. And I get that. So
It's great now. I want to be a part of the 501st at this point.
There's
a lot awesome,
and there's a lot of
By the
other
way,
people.
it's incredibly easy now to print that armor. Like with my 3D printers, I could have a suit of armor out in a week. It's amazing what's out there, and it's free. The files are free, so anybody could really get a suit.
That's good to know, because last time I asked them about it, they were like, "Yeah, you got to build your own suit," and I was like, "Yeah, never mind, I'm good."
I want to get the file, Sam, so you can build the AT-AT Walker suit for my parents' Italian Greyhound.
Yes, I've seen that too. That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. Oh my gosh! All right, so I'm going to run through some notes here real quick before. Well, we still have a lot of other show business to go through, but we've hit on a lot of our other stuff, which is fine. Okay, I was told today that I like to nitpick movies too much, and I said thank you, because that's my job to nitpick. So, and Josh, you being I'm forcing upon you the mantle of defending this movie.
That's fine. I can do that.
So Grievous is a really interesting character, and he's interesting mostly because we know him from the Clone Wars. We're introduced to him in this movie, and he's a robot, but he's also got organs, live organic organs, and he's always coughing, and he's got really cool, weird kind of alien eyes, in that kind of gut sack, with his lungs and heart and some other stuff there. And it wasn't until this viewing when the Jedi have made it to the observation deck or the bridge or whatever, and he says, "You lose, Jedi," and he throws the spear out the window and breaks it, and then he flies out into space and then escapes that way. I was like, wait a minute, his organs would have frozen and he would have died.
Yeah, but pause for just a moment, though. Please tell me that you refer to your organs as being in a gut sack on a regular basis.
No, I read that phrase. That's why I said it that way.
I want you to do that from now on.
Challenge accepted.
No, but I agree. I thought about that as well, and I also thought, shoot him in the heart. Like
something, yeah.
Which is what happens to him later. But he's not fully. He's a cyborg, really. Mm-hmm. And these organic organs can be destroyed really easily. And when he goes out into space, you're right. Would they not have just frozen right there?
Yeah, they would have.
And if he breathes air.
Yeah, because he's coughing. I mean, he's constantly coughing. It's one of those things. I know someone's going to say, "Well, are you okay with Mary Poppins Leia in in the Last Jedi?" And honestly, I kind of am. So whatever, it's fine.
I'm not. Kill her right then and there.
Space
should have ended it right then and there.
Space physics in Star Wars Galaxy is not the same. It's fine.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this whole organ thing in space, like, there's sound in space. So obviously there's air in space. And fire.
Yeah.
And lasers.
And smell. I have gotten more messages about your weird comment about the smell in space than anything else. I just would give.
You think it's probably pretty rusty, right? Pretty rusty smell, I would think.
Well, they say it's like a stale fart.
Okay. Go on.
That's what my studio smells like. I don't know about anything else.
Cauliflower? Like, what kind of fart? What are we talking here? Some beans?
maybe broccoli.
Broccoli. Okay. That's pretty stanky.
Yeah, no, it is. So I did write down, ever think Sam Jackson got pissed when he filmed this scene and getting killed like a bitch? So I wrote that down and then realized, I know I'm going to skip ahead a little bit into my trivia, but I did read this in the trivia. Sam Jackson said that he knew that he was going to have to die in the movie. So he told George Lucas that he would only do the movie if Mace Windu gets to go out in a blaze of glory and not like some sucker. On an American late night talk show, obviously this was not written by someone in America. On an American late night talk show, he confirmed that he did indeed have a meaningful death scene and that he does not go out like some punk.
Did you know, this is more trivia for you, but did you know before Samuel L. Jackson was approached to play this role, Tupac Shakur was supposed to play the role of Mace Windu?
I did not know that. That would have been interesting.
Did you know Michael Jackson wanted to play Jar Jar?
I did know that. I did read that.
That might have been better.
Might have saved his life.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We're joking now, but I mean, like with everything else that we kind of know about Michael Jackson, would we then look at the prequels kind of like how we look at movies with, what's his name?
I'd probably be more upset. I'd be like, you keep Anakin away from Jar Jar. You get him away.
Yeah.
Don't go to Tatooine with him. Get out of here.
What's his name? Oh my gosh, the House of Cards.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin,
Yeah, is it the same? Would it be the same thing?
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I don't know.
I doubt it.
I'm not actually asking for an answer. It was just a rhetorical. Or I was pondering. I do
want to say I'm pretty sure Mace Windu is going to make an appearance in the new Obi-Wan series. I think they're going to bring him back.
That's awesome.
Just for fan service.
As a ghost. I
hope
did,
so.
See, Andrew or somebody mentioned last week that or somebody did. Maybe it was me. I don't remember. That said that they heard that Liam Neeson is like wanting to become, a Force ghost on that show.
I think, that's part of his training from the end. When Yoda's talking about him training, it's learning to become a Force ghost. So I would assume Liam Neeson's going to make his cameo in that.
I would assume so. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Special set of skills.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I have a special set of skills.
Which partly makes me sound like Sean Connery for some reason.
I don't know why I did that.
That's perfect.
You listen to me and you listen good, Obi-Wan.
There you go. I like it. Oh, Sean Connery as a Jedi would be amazing.
My dream.
I did say that I wrote down the saying killing younglings, right? Because they use the phrase younglings. He says Anakin has killed younglings. Is using the word younglings better than saying that he killed children, because we don't use the word younglings? You think that's why they use that word?
Maybe.
Good question, but
because saying he murdered children is hard.
But I think though that would have made it more. He would have been Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? Saying killing a youngling is like saying that someone. I mean, we would get ticked off if we heard that someone put chicks, like baby chickens, in a bag and threw them in a river. Like we would get upset. But it's not like the same as killing a child. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think they used. I personally.
First of all, who leads with that? He wasn't even trying to hide anything. First of all, Padme is pregnant AF and probably hormonal taboo, and then all stressed out about this whole thing. She sees the temple on fire, and you're going to come lead with Anakin killed younglings. Where is he? That's what?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's interesting in this universe, the other thing that's interesting in this galaxy is that no one ever brings evidence of things. So he's like, Anakin has turned to the dark side. I don't believe you. Here's a hologram to prove it. Oh, damn.
Oh, well,
you're right.
He just said I've seen. Yeah, I've seen holograms.
That's the father of my child. Which, by the way, this pissed off my wife so bad. She's like, they have the technology of all of the technology of space flight and laser swords, and they can't tell her that she has twins. So here's a little bit more trivia. They filmed enough movie to make a 4-hour cut of this movie.
Wow.
There's a lot that they
Lucas cut.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, apparently Lucas does that, right? Because it was the same thing. There was a 3-hour version of the Phantom Menace that has a lot of stuff that got left on the cutting room floor. So I don't know. But one of the edits.
One of those. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say one of those Okay, well, basically, the original cut of the movie ran for 4 hours. The opening battle Palpatine rescue scene was over an hour. The extra footage of the Palpatine rescue scene is shown in the video game for the movie. Yeah. But
with like Shaak Ti getting killed, and there was another droid battle with okay.
Yeah. One of the last, let's see. Oh, I did type. We learned from Batman Begins, starring Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon Jinn, that you never give up sure footing for a kill shot. And I wrote that because Yoda and Palpatine fight scene has always annoyed me, because it starts off he's in his little office, and then they fight all the way to the chambers, and then we see them fighting, rising up on the thing, and then it's a cut, and all of a sudden the Emperor or Palpatine is like 11 stories up in the platform, and Yoda's way down there. And I thought, how did he get up there? Why would Yoda let him get that much of the high ground, first of all? And then when Yoda does the spinny thing on the little seat and throws it at Palpatine, and Palpatine's looking around for him, Yoda shows up with the great all but hello there moment, but he doesn't have sure footing. And so when the Force lightning explodes, the only reason why Yoda falls is because he had bad footing. And I was always annoyed by that fight scene, because Yoda didn't lose. He just fell and then gave up. That's what's kind of annoying about it. He didn't lose. It was an even fight. So anyway.
He didn't lose it. I think he would have, on an even playing field, he would have whooped that dude's ass.
I think so too.
Give him a little bit of green fury, because, he definitely went down you're right. He gave up too quickly, but I think he was more, if you're going to get nerdy about it, I think he was more affected by the fact that so many Jedi had died already, and he had kind of his faith in the Force was shaken a little bit, so he wasn't nearly as powerful as, say, when he fought Dooku. Because he was just like, I'm kind of drained right now, and I don't know if I care anymore.
I don't know. I also don't like the fact that he Bail Organa comes and gets him, and his first thing he's like, "Yep, time to go into exile." Like, wait, we're already there. What? Can we not regroup and have another conversation? I don't know.
That does seem kind of quick.
Yeah, it does. Which is which is so funny when people got mad at The Last Jedi. They're like, Luke is just hiding on this island. He goes, that's what the Jedi do. They get their ass beat and then they go hide. So I'm not sure why Luke is any different, because that's exactly what Obi-Wan did, and that's exactly what Yoda did. So
I feel like Obi-Wan didn't want to do that, though. I feel like he wanted a little more.
Yeah. I've always kind of wondered about that. Is it because they're trying to protect the Jedi way, or why are they secluding themselves and becoming recluses?
There's a balance with the light side and the dark side, and you have to, you have to have at least a little bit of light side out there in order to keep that balance, or the entire, the Sith would have actually taken over.
Which is fun. It's really fun to mess with.
Read about.
Well, it's really fun to mess with your 5th grade child's teacher when they start studying physics, and they talk about balance, and and then you have him answer one of his questions with the light and dark side.
Well,
or Thanos. Thanos was right in his balance.
Before the Clone Wars and before Rebels, when Obi-Wan is screaming at him saying you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness, he technically does leave it in balance. By the time Anakin is done, there are 2 Sith and 2 Jedi. So technically there's balance. Now then Clone Wars comes along, and then we find out that Ahsoka survives, and then Rebels comes along and finds out that Kanan Jarrus survives, and Ezra is a Jedi eventually. So there's a little bit, but then also to balance those guys, Darth Maul and Savage is a thing. So What's her name? Ventress. So there's still other stuff out there. There's still enough to kind of balance it. And then of course you have the Inquisitors later on, but
yeah, I don't count them. You don't fly with lightsabers. Stupidest thing ever.
It is kind of dumb, but I also like the fact that the Inquisitors come across as these really scary things, and Ahsoka defeats two of them pretty flippin' easily. It's kind of amazing. Yeah. You know, like they charge, and she puts her lightsabers down, and then just like dismantles the one or something. It's such a great scene. Did we lose Sam? I think we did. He
may have fallen asleep.
No, I mean that's possible. We'll just keep rocking and rolling. I sent him a text. Well, he's still online, so we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
You know,
or his controller he's muted, or who knows.
I haven't heard from Sam in a good 15 minutes.
I don't know. So the last few notes I have before we do anything else. Oh, where's my notes? Is Palpatine high ground?
I wanted to further that point of Yoda giving up too easily. Obi-Wan did not give up. He saw that deed was done. He cut that dude's legs off. He cut his arm off, and he left him there to burn. Yoda was like, "Oh, he knocked me off the edge. I'm gone."
Well, and a lot of people, including myself, had argued if Obi-Wan just walks over there and finishes the job, right, just gives him a little, which technically would have been the merciful thing to do. Burning alive is kind of like the nightmare scenario, right?
Yeah.
He murdered children.
Yeah. But most people look at it as is that he's letting the Force decide, and the Force decided that he should live. I don't know, but
I don't like that explanation. I like the fact that Obi-Wan is a vengeful god, and he was like, nah, you killed kids. You're done.
I don't know. Obi-Wan has killed for less reasons. I'm just saying.
You're right. You're right.
You know, like, I know it was your brother and all this stuff. I don't know. I just, maybe if Obi-Wan, if Anakin would have threatened Luke, like, Maul does eventually.
Yeah, and I guess you could technically say that Anakin did die there, because he comes out as Darth Vader.
From a certain point of view.
And the whole reason that he made his castle on Mustafar was because Anakin died there, and he wanted to still be able to reach that side of him, or whatever the book said.
Worst no in film history. I already made that reference. Now the daughter of a senator becomes a princess. Not sure how that works, but that's fine.
Are you sure that's the worst no? Or is it... I don't know. I still think Luke Skywalker's no is a little worse.
I think
in Empire.
The acting of it is, I don't know if it's worse or better, but I feel like the Luke's no is more earned, I think. And also in 1980, the trope wasn't quite as played out.
Yeah.
You know, by 2005...
They were the trope.
Yeah. Sam is returning for some reason.
I am back.
Yeah,
Sorry
for some reason.
Good morning.
Screen sharing kills his Skype for whatever reason.
Oh.
But just Sam, just so you know what you missed, we have solved all of the world's problems. So, and
hey man, we're done. I'm out.
Fortunately, you were not here to take credit of it, so that's fine.
I'm used to it.
And my last note was interesting that they raised Leia like a daughter, but Luke like a nephew.
Dude, I think it's interesting that Leia gets to go to this cush princess life, and they're like, "What are we gonna do with this kid?" And they're like, "I don't know, throw him in the desert."
Yeah.
By the way, I also think Leia is totally Anakin, whereas Luke is Padme.
Oh, okay.
Right? Leia is all about the take things by force. And
she is
more.
more.
Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. She is more aggressive and definitely the alpha of those two. You're not wrong.
Yep.
That's a good point. I've actually done this. There's a NPR. I don't know. There's a radio play of A New Hope, and I've listened to it. It's great, and they actually got Anthony Daniels and Mark Hamill and a couple others. They did not get Harrison Ford for Han. The dude playing Han is not even close, and it's definitely not James Earl Jones. But there's some other.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, they're not going to pay him enough. Is basically what it came down to. But the
No
radio
Star Wars questions.
The radio play is set before. Basically, Rogue One killed the radio play because the radio play has parts of what happened in Rogue One. But yeah, Leia's kind of more of a badass in
video.
The radio.
Did kill the radio star.
Now, you're not wrong. Actually, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
But she actually kills an officer in that radio play. Do you guys have any other notes before I do clips?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had to think.
You're fine.
Kylie had something that she didn't want to say. Her five-word review. I forgot to say this earlier.
Mm-hmm. Who is Kylie for those that are listening to the show that only listen to?
So my bad. Kylie is my wonderful girlfriend. She is on the Sudden But Inevitable rewatch with me and Jesse and Ricky. She's actually going to be one of the co-hosts to the Sudden But Inevitable Rebop when we talk about Cowboy Bebop here in the next month.
Nice.
But her 5-word review was, "Do you think he smells?" Every time she saw Palpatine, she was like, "God, he just looks like he smells so bad."
I love that. That's the best.
So, yeah,
That's the best.
I think that was it for my notes.
Okay, that's great. All right, I am contractually obligated to play this.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
There you go. Gosh, that seemed loud. Why was that so loud? Got a bad feeling about this. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. This annoyed me. It still annoys me. Why do robots say ouch? So here you go. If you can tell what's going on. R2 comes up. He says, "Don't move." R2 shocks him with his little shocky gun, and it says ouch. And it actually does the thing when, like, if you hurt your hand, you shake your hand because you're trying to get your feeling. The robot does that before it kicks R2. Why would you program it to say ouch?
That's one of the version 3.5 droids. You know, they got the upgrade, so they get the...
So bad.
I don't know.
This is something you want to hear right before, the world's about to go to hell.
Is he not to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force?
So the prophecy says.
A prophecy that misread could have been.
Wait, you're telling me that now? That it could be wrong? Harry Potter?
The scary timpani roll in the background kind of gives it away.
Yeah.
That's true.
I am going to keep this forever.
Hello there.
I got to keep that, right? I mean, it's great. And of course, that's a callback to episode 4, when the first things we hear Obi-Wan Kenobi say is,
"Hello there."
Yeah, it sounds like someone's got a zip tie in the background. You hear that? It's like a zip tie.
"Hello there."
It's so funny. I never noticed that before. Somebody's zip tying some cables together. This is 23 seconds of the Darth Vader part. Now, I didn't notice it when I was watching it, but I definitely noticed it when I was pulling the audio, that Palpatine takes a long time to breathe. It's like it's just he's having.
Well, there was several Palpatine moments in this movie that were just really bad. That were just cringeworthy.
Yeah, where he's just kind of pausing and staring, but he's you're not wrong.
No, you will die.
He's like, I didn't even say I was going to kill you, man.
Didn't he start giggling at one point too?
He giggles a lot.
Yeah.
He does villain laugh basically from the moment that he pulls that lightsaber out of his hand, out of his shirt, whatever. He does that.
Sith twirl.
Yeah. Okay. Here you go.
The Force is strong with you. A powerful Sith you will become. Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
When does he ever sound like that again in the whole franchise?
I don't know.
I mean, that's some serious auto-tune.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't sound anything like him.
He sounds like Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. The last words R2 hears from his master.
R2, stay with the ship.
It's a little sad. which is a great bit where later on when Luke says R2 stay with the ship, but then he goes after Luke on the Cloud City because the last time someone said stay with the ship, his master didn't come back. I like those little notions, Yeah,
those droids are like dogs. I feel like they're kind of
loyal. They're absolutely loyal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to mention. I think last episode you guys were asking about R2D2's rockets and how they what happened to those things. If I'm not mistaken, there is a book and or a comic that explains how those got damaged.
Of
and
course.
You couldn't use them anymore. Yeah.
It's called "We Didn't Have That Technology in 1977."
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't care that they're not used in 4, 5, and 6. If you're going to show them to me in a thing before, but I mean, Star Trek is having to do that too, right? Like in the show Discovery, which is 10 years before the original series, they have hologram communication devices on the ship, and in order to retcon or explain why the Enterprise uses a view screen, Captain Pike says, I don't like the holograms. It's like talking to ghosts. Don't, make it so that never happens. And so by the end of that season, the number 1 says, don't worry, Captain. We will only ever use Viewfinder ever again. Just, and it's part of it because, in 2000 and I don't know what year did they make those, 17, 18, 19. It's going to look different than 1966. I get that, but you're going to have to explain some stuff away.
So. How awful would it have been if R2 used his rockets in Force Awakens and Last Jedi and stuff?
Well, he's barely
I got him back, guys.
Yeah, he's barely in Force Awakens. He only basically shows up when the plot needed him to.
Now, his cameo in Mandalorian was more meaningful than any cameo he made in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 seconds.
I also like their little cameo in Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like, oh, where's everybody going? No one tells us anything. Here's something that's always kind of annoyed me.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Really? Then when Yoda says do or do not, there is no try. That's not an absolute.
Maybe Yoda's a secret Sith.
I mean,
the whole Jedi religion is so convoluted. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on.
I have a book. I have the Jedi manual here.
You have the Jedi
there like
Bible?
6 versions of that.
I have a Jedi one, and what makes it kind of fun is that the idea is that this book was handed down from like different Jedi. So like Anakin had it, and Obi-Wan had it, and Qui-Gon had it.
I've seen that.
And so there's notes in the margin, right? And so the note will say a Jedi does this, and Qui-Gon says not necessary, and then underneath it Luke says but good to do or something like that. There's a lot of that kind of thing. Like there's a little bit of humor in it. Yeah.
Jedi Bible is like the new King James Bible or whatever. There's like 8 different versions of it.
So I'm going to take a pause for the show. Well, not the show, but I'm going to do this because, this is my show and I get to do what I want. I recorded my son in an interview with my son. I've done this before and it's been a while, but he's been watching these movies. Now, he did not watch this movie with me. I felt this movie was too dark for my 8-year-old son. If you've let your kids younger watch this movie, that's fine. I'm not judging. I just did not want him to see it. Which, by the way, before I forget this moment, my opinion, fight me on this, I don't care. The best acting in the entire movie is the little boy that says, Master Skywalker, there's too many. What are we going to do? And when he lights up that saber and that kid reacts to that is the best, most heart-wrenching thing in the movie, because I don't know what they did to scare that kid, but they did something to scare him to make him step back. That's not acting. That's reacting. And it's so good, and it just breaks your heart because you know what's about to happen. So anyway, so here's my son's take on the 3 movies that he's seen. It's only about a minute and a half. Joining me tonight is my son, Declan. Say hi, Declan.
Hi.
And you like Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like.
I'm the number 1 biggest fan.
You're the number 1 biggest fan?
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. But for the movies that we've seen all the way through, that you and I have sat and watched all the way through, episodes 1, 2, and 4, which one is your favorite one so far?
This is very hard. Honestly, I like them all because they all involve something getting blown up.
Okay, that's fair.
And nice. I do have some things to add. Like, I'd have to say that The Phantom Menace was a little bit cooler than the others because, I mean, Darth Maul, it's just so cool to watch his dual-wielded lightsaber just, like, go.
So you like Phantom Menace
probably
the best because of Darth Maul, and do you like Jar Jar Binks?
He's the funniest man in the world.
Really?
He's really clumsy. That kind of makes him like a very funny clown. Funnier than a clown. And not as scary as a clown. Because I know that some people have some fears of clowns.
All right. So he's funny but not scary.
No.
But you like the character?
Yeah. Besides his clumsiness, I like him.
Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Okay.
That was awesome.
I have a fear of Jar Jar.
Yeah,
that's more than the fear of clowns.
Yeah.
So, episode 1, I was 9 when that movie came out. So about your son's age. And I was probably the same way. And even to this day, episode 1 still holds a special place in my heart because it was one of the first new Star Wars movies I saw. Like they re-released the original trilogy right before episode 1 came out, and I went and saw all of them multiple times. Like, so I can at least say that I've seen all the movies in the theaters. Maybe not the way that you guys saw them or whoever, but like, but. I can agree. Like,
we're not that old
with your son. But that just reminds me so much of like when I was a kid because I loved Jar Jar and I loved Darth Maul and his double-bladed lightsaber. Nowadays, I'm not a big fan of Jar Jar because he does annoy me, but it's still like that thing just holds a special place. So
and yet,
like
Darth
that.
Maul
That's
is
adorable.
still cool as ever.
Yeah, and the most underrated.
Underused,
villain in the history of villainy.
He could have been the most amazing villain throughout this trilogy. He could have been the next Darth Vader-esque type of villain, and
he would have been better than Dooku. Could you imagine Maul and Yoda fighting instead? Sick.
It would have been cool. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to play our little buddy. Steve Everett, take it away.
Hey, Cheapseat Review Nation. This is friend of the podcast, Steve Everett. Maybe you've heard my song as the intro to Cheapseat Reviews, but I've got a new record, Little Wins, and it's out everywhere worldwide. You can find out more at steveeverett.net, and I'd love to have you listen. Thanks a lot.
We were talking about your weekend when we should have been listening. The teacher came over and said tonight.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, good friend of the show. Go buy his new record. It's great.
Yeah.
Time for
I
this.
got it. I actually listened to a lot
name?
of it on the way home today.
Yeah, Steve Everett.
Twitter and stuff?
Okay, yeah, I tag him a lot on Twitter. It's Steve Everett. Steve R. Everett, I think, is his Twitter at Steve R. Everett. He does our outro music. He said intro, but he meant outro. He does our outro music. He used to do our intro long ago. When we had a different intro long ago, and like the first 100 episodes was his music.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of mine, and he's just produced his. Gosh.
And he's been on the podcast a bunch too.
Oh, a bunch, yeah. And he'll be on again this summer. Nice. Yeah, he's
like our Paul Simon to SNL. You know, it just he keeps coming on.
That's okay. I would have said Justin Timberlake, but sure, Paul Simon's fine.
Well, I'm the '80s generation. Remember,
I know. Time for this. Time for I forgot to pull the time for this again.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
Before I do the last bit of trivia, I need to kind of get moving here. We do have some really awesome listeners, and one of those listeners, Andrew, messaged me on Twitter explaining the whole Sifo-Dyas thing. Okay, because remember I said, "Who the heck is Sifo-Dyas?" and I didn't know who he was, and like, did Palpatine pretend to be him? So according to Andrew, Sifo-Dyas was killed by Dooku before Dooku left the Jedi Order, under orders from Palpatine. Dooku then impersonated Sifo-Dyas when he ordered the clones, complete with the altercations like the behavioral inhibitor chips that allowed for Order 66. I think the biggest complaint, this is still Andrew talking, the biggest complaint about the Lucas and the prequels is that he had become used to the books and comics of the expanded universe to help him with backstory and world building. And so I asked him, so he learned that from a book, and he said yes. And I said, thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it. So thanks, Andrew, for helping us out, because we were confused by that, or I was confused by that. All right. Some trivia I'm going to cut through real quick. Every clone trooper is CGI. I already said that. This one was interesting. I thought this was really interesting. Gary Oldman had agreed to play the voice of General Grievous, but pulled out of the movie because it was being made using actors who were not part of the Screen Actors Guild, of which Gary Oldman is a member. Lucas once quit the Writers Guild, Directors Guild, and Motion Picture Association of America over dispute concerning Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which was the title crawl. Putting all the credits.
And he never went back either.
Yeah, and has not been able to work with the guild actors since. The role was read by Duncan Young on set and voiced by Matthew Wood, who, being a Lucasfilm employee, submitted his reading under the name Alan Smithy. That's interesting. Now, I also. Sometimes there's a lot of trivia. Again, all of these things have a lot. All these movies have just tons and tons and tons of trivia, and it's just insane to scroll through it. So basically, I would just scroll for like a second and then stop and then read two, and then scroll for a second and stop and read for two. But I found this one, and this one annoyed me, so I'm going to play this.
That is one big pile of shit.
Okay, so. Someone took the time to write this in, and this is why I hate this.
Oh, boo.
This movie, Star Wars Episode... I'm sorry. Let me start over. This movie, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Episode 8, The Last Jedi, Solo, A Star Wars Story, are the only ones to not contain R2-D2 in the final shot. So you're telling me that 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6. So 6 of the 11 possible movies that don't have R2, that's not a thing. That's like half. It just if this was the only one that didn't have it, that's a thing. But it's not. I don't know. I think that's.
I think it was before, right? So if with just episodes 1 through 6. It would have been the only one.
Okay,
so
yeah.
That was cool like 10, 15 years ago.
You're right. You're right. So this movie, so if you take away The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Solo, and
all
Rogue
the new
One,
ones, basically.
Yeah, basically everything except the very last one, episode 9. So you're right. Okay. Between 1 through 6, this is the only one that doesn't end. Okay, that's kind of a neat distinction. But when you have to add in 11 qualifiers, it loses its coolness. All right.
Basically, if you take out all the other movies except episodes 1 through 6, you have a masterpiece. That's pretty much what we
I wouldn't say that. If you take away all of the other ones except Rogue One, 4, 5, and 6, it's a really great story. There you go. How's that?
There you go. Yeah. Rogue One is like The Hobbit to the.
Actually, well, Hobbit book. The movies are not great.
The book, yeah.
I mean, it's
correct.
like
Yes. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
please.
I should have clarified. God, those movies were so bad.
They're weirdly bad. But it's also like Trek fans saying all Trek is great except the odd movies. It's just everyone.
Which is false. Come on now. Star Trek 9 was awesome. the new one?
No, Star Trek 9 is Insurrection.
Isn't it? Oh, that one was great too.
It's not great. Not great.
Those Trekkies, they're so picky.
I
about
love
their
Trek.
movies.
I'm
like
a
us Star Wars fans. We love all of our movies, all of our properties. Never complained about one of them.
Not one time. Oh my gosh. That's too funny. All right, time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
So we're going to try to cook through this a little bit too as well. Top 3, we decided to continue for the last 2 episodes and just say, what would be 3 things you would change, fix, improve, alter from this movie? And Josh, can I let you go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I would want a little more explanation about Grievous.
Okay.
I feel like he was, especially without the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I love him as a villain. I think he was one of the cooler, with the 4 lightsabers and the I've been trained in your Jedi arts and like all that cool stuff.
Which just apparently means just spinning your wrists.
Well, that means that's a lot more though, because doing that throws Obi-Wan off balance. That's why he loses his balance. Because he's like, oh, what's happening right now? And so he Grievous, that's how he kills all the Jedi, because he catches them all off balance by doing that. And then he kills them. But I digress. Anyway, I would just like to see more of his backstory. Or just get rid of him in general. He didn't serve a lot of a purpose, I guess. He was... I don't know, man. You see him and you're like, oh, this guy coughs a lot and he's supposed to be some badass, and Obi-Wan Kenobi's just going to take him out immediately. And again, should have kept Darth Maul for all of them.
Agree on that.
There we go. Yeah, okay. I'll change that up a little bit. I'll say replace Grievous with Darth Maul.
That'll work.
It's not a bad idea.
Bring him back as the surprise. Oh, crap. Now he's got mechanical legs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Sam.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that your 3? I'm sorry, Josh. I mean, was that? Was
oh no, there's not a lot else I would change in this, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's fine.
I really like this movie.
That's fine.
It's fun.
My thing, change the acting. Do a couple more takes. Let's make this better. But my biggest thing that would make it interesting is bring the war to Coruscant. Because if you think the city planet, is it ever affected by the war?
Sort of. In the Clone Wars, it is a little bit,
but not in the movies.
No, except for the opening scene.
I was gonna say the battle above Coruscant when the ship crashes into a ton of stuff. Oh no, I guess it lands on a runway, huh? And just breaks.
I mean, part of it breaks off. We don't know where that goes. The ass end of it goes, but yeah.
Even in this movie, they're still just wandering around like nothing's really going on. I think you up the stakes for the actual politicians and everybody in Coruscant to make it to make it more impactful. I don't think the stakes until you get to the lava planet are big enough for a Star Wars movie.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, the Clone Wars does a lot of that. We didn't know that yet when they made this movie, but yeah, those stakes happen, but it's during the show. There's some things you haven't gotten to, but those stakes do happen. But you're not wrong. They should be in the movie because that's what we watched. Okay. Anything else?
Yep. Nope, that's it.
Andrew's having some computer problems. I don't know if he's back yet, so I'm going to go now. He usually goes after me anyway, which is fine. I did 2. Less emphasis on Less emphasis on CGI. This is one of the main reasons why George Miller made Mad Max Fury Road all practical, is because of movies like this. I know we already talked about why they do it this way. I just think let's make a little bit less, but it needs to be fantastical, so that's fine. I also wrote Anakin seems too willing to kill all his friends. I think that I know he has to. It just felt too. It felt
soon.
It felt
that
too
that
soon.
escalated quickly.
Or it felt like he wasn't. It wasn't enough. It wasn't difficult for him to do it. Like he didn't suffer through it. It was just like, oh, okay, I'm yours now, guy. But honestly, my biggest complaint of this movie and all of the prequels in general, this is my biggest issue, is that the problem with the prequels, I've not mentioned this on the other 2 episodes, and it didn't hit me until this one. When we see the Emperor in The Return of the Jedi, it's the first time we see him, he looks like he's 140. And I always thought as a child, the reason why he's 140 is because the Empire is really old. The Empire has been around for 100 years. It's an empire. It's been around, and that's what makes what the rebels do such a big deal, is because they overtoppled a government that's been around for forever, right? They even use phrases in the movie, in A New Hope, like the Jedi, ancient sorcery, like they're making seem like they've never heard
20
of
years
Jedi.
ago, you
yeah,
mean?
20 years ago when you were a cadet, you knew what the Jedi were. And even Tarkin's like, you're the last of that old religion, my friend. But yeah, but you're making it sound like that this religion was not, like it was so far away. So I always thought that. And then when the prequels come out, he goes, it's only like 18 years. The Empire is literally 18 years old. I guess by the time they blow up the second Death Star, I guess it's been 18 plus 6. So whatever it is, it's like 20-something years.
24.
24, yeah. He can buy a beer and vote and rent a car. Great. So that's one of the things that always kind of annoyed me. I wish there would have been a way to age the Empire. Like we can still have the prequels, I guess. I know that, from the first movie to the second movie is a 10-year gap, and then there's 3 years until this movie. It just feels like I don't know how to do it, but it feels like there's a way to do it. I just don't know what it is.
Well,
I know we need
also, how long does it take to build a Death Star?
Apparently, about 18 years.
No way, because they built it in between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi.
Maybe they were doing...
That's like 6.
Yeah.
Well, they improved the technology. They knew what they were doing by that point.
Yeah.
They upgraded to version 5.5.
I don't know. Maybe they did from the movie Contact, where why build one where you can build 2 for twice the price? I don't know. Andrew, what's yours? I'm glad you're back. What you got?
Well, you can take chicken shit and make chicken salad, but at the end of the day, you're still eating shit.
Boy, shit's going to get used a lot during our intro. I'm just going
But it's the same issue with all the other ones. It's just, like you said, too much CGI for my taste. And again, that's just, I think, and I'll stick to this. That's George Lucas trying to be ahead of the game and trying to show off. I think in some ways when it comes to the use of technology and film, I think he was trying to kind of be like James Cameron in a sense of, everything that he did in Titanic and Avatar. I mean, that changed film forever, and I think Lucas is trying to put his mark and not saying that the technology used was not important, but you can overdo it. And I think that's done quite a bit.
This was one of the first movies to ever do that, though. And it gave, like, the way that they filmed it, they used different cameras. Sony and Panasonic had built them special cameras to film in the CGI environment.
Right.
So just like in the 70s when they were using the models and the way they were filming then, it kind of paved the way for a lot of movies from the 70s through the 90s. And then, of course, James Cameron had his thing, but this did the CGI effect. And he did overdo it. Don't get me wrong. Like, he just had a CGI stage the whole time, and they just walked through it. And that was it. But it did kind of, like, for Avengers, for instance, a lot of that's green screen. You know, a lot of our favorite, I mean, maybe not your guys' favorite movies. I don't know what your favorite movies are, but like a lot of, you know, top movies of these days, some of my favorite movies are done a lot on CGI. And I do feel like a lot of that was paved because of these prequels. And I also like to just give it the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't just a big piece of shit. Well, you know, it had to have some meaning.
Yeah, the big difference is that the Avengers and the other ones, Guardians of the Galaxy, with notwithstanding, or not really part of it, but like those Avengers movies, they're all based in our world that we know, and so we don't necessarily notice a lot of the CGI because it's just
Sure.
You know what I'm saying, like it's real physics, it's real stuff, other than obviously
Right.
Iron Man suit and things like that, but like. Whereas in this, the physical world building is in such fantastical places, which is what George Lucas envisioned, which is fine. I think that's part of what makes it hard for us to be like, oh yeah, they're obviously on a green screen because planets don't look like that and stuff. So, but you're not wrong. I mean, this movie, along with Lord of the Rings, paved the way for James Cameron to do Avatar. You know, once Lord of the Rings came along and did mocap with.
And that
Gollum.
was way leaps and bounds better than this for sure.
Well, I mean, but they weren't in this movie in particular. Like, they're not using motion capture in this movie the way that they did it for Gollum. Now, sort of. I mean, they still had like the lightsaber fight between Christopher Lee and Anakin, right? Like that's not Christopher Lee standing there. That's a double wearing a green screen. Yeah. And they just, CGI'd Christopher Lee's head on top of that. That's the only way you can get Christopher Lee to do backflips over railings and stuff like that. But I do think that the technology... This is the only movie of the trilogy that didn't get nominated for an Oscar for special effects, which is interesting.
That is interesting. So, well, they were tired of it.
They're like,
hey, okay, episode 2 was a little much, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. Too many CGI clone people. Was that it, Andrew? Was that it for you?
Yeah, I didn't have 3, but that's what it is.
That's fine. All right. Okay. Well, my gosh, this has been a long episode, and I both am grateful for it and the time we've spent with Josh, as well as the time we've spent with you, the listener. The last thing on my list to do is the quote game. We have the out of 10. Crap, we have to give this movie a score. So
wait, what's supposed to happen?
Thank you, Daniel Radcliffe, for reminding me of this. We give this movie a score from 0 to 10. Josh, I forgot to give you a heads up about this, but we do this, and now you will know why. When I was on your episode, on your show, I gave it decimal points. We embrace the decimal point. Andrew.
IMDb puts this at a 7.5. I do not think it's quite there. But I do think it's the best of the 3 prequels. And, I enjoy it for what it is. So I'm going to give this a 6.2.
All right. 6.2. Josh.
6.2. Dang. I see. So, because I love all the Star Wars movies. Like, I grew up on them. They're my favorites. So, number 10, like I rate Return of the Jedi 10. That's my 10, right? And so Revenge of the Sith is 9.5 for me. And then it just goes down from there.
That's fine.
So I would give this a 9.5.
And look, we have all said, I mean, we all have those nostalgia movies and those things that we know that aren't great, but we still love them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Star Trek Generations is not a good movie, but I love it because it was the first film my dad took me to see in the theater, so I have an emotional connection to that bad movie. And if we ever reviewed it for the podcast, I would spend an hour and a half saying how bad of a movie it is, and I'd still give it an 8. because I love it. Sam.
Yeah. What did I give Phantom? Do you have that?
Phantom Menace, you gave it a 3.
All right. This one, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Well, I mean, it is the best out of the 3 prequels. So, and it gets really close to being rewatchable without hating it. And the other 2, I cannot watch without hating them, especially the second one.
You just put it on mute, man. Watch it in the background. And then when you get to that point where they're fighting, that's when you unmute it. You're like, oh, this is the best part. This is good.
Yeah, maybe that's good. That's a good point. And just kind of mouth over what they're saying. Make up my own dialogue.
Ooh, exactly. Sometimes that's to Mystery Science Theater. That is sometimes the best thing to do.
It does have fun. I gave Phantom a 5. I gave Attack of the Clones a 5.1. I think this movie is better than both of those, and I think it's a better film. It's a better storytelling, and not just because it's more violent. Oh, I didn't even get to mention the fact that there is a version of this movie that's rated R that George Lucas filmed. Where
I want to see that.
Order 66 gets way more violent. Way more violent. It shows
Anakin's just throwing children in the air and slicing them.
If you go back and watch the hologram where it shows Anakin, you see him like basically throat cut a Jedi. They filmed that. That's how they got that footage. And it actually does show him cutting down children. It shows some of the other, Master Kun, the Plo Koon. He's the guy with the weird face apparatus that gets shot down at the end. It shows him like crash landing and then the troopers coming back and like finishing him off. And he basically made a rated R Star Wars, and he had to cut a lot of it out because he was going to get a rated R rating. So that's why he had to cut it. Mm-hmm. With all that being said, I would
love that.
I don't necessarily know if I want to see a what's the director, Inglourious Basterds.
Quentin
thank you, exactly. I don't want to see a Tarantino version of Star Wars. I just don't. I
kind of like a Tarantino version of Star Trek.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see that.
Can I ask you guys one question?
You may.
Since this movie was rated PG-13, you are allotted one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
Where would you put it in episode 3?
It would have to be Sam Jackson. It has to be him, right?
Yes.
He's too dangerous to be left alive. This mother effer needs to die. It has to be there, right?
Has to be, yeah.
Or as he's falling to his death, that's the only way it works, I think.
Yeah.
I also think, though...
I always like to, if he would just look at Anakin and be like, "Sit your ass down, mother effer."
Yeah,
something like that.
No, you're not wrong. I do think though that it would 100% take me out of the universe, out of that galaxy, if they dropped an F-bomb. If they would have said GD or even shit or something. Like, I just think that those are such weird things that we say.
Oh yeah.
So, and they sneak those other kind of words in every now and then. They'll say stuff like that.
Nerf herder.
Yeah, stuff like that. You're not wrong. I'm going to give it. I haven't given it a score. I'm giving it a 6.5. Oops, I didn't type. Why didn't it type? 6.5. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that gives it a 6.675. I think that's fine. So we went from 4.85, 3.75 to 6.67. I think that's all right. Personally. Gosh, man, I'm tired. This has been a long episode. This has been a lot of fun. Josh, thank you so much. Where can people find all about you and your podcasts?
Oh, my goodness. There are too many plugs, so I'm just going to go with a couple. You can find me on Twitter at TwistMyArmcast. That's where I do a lot of my social medias. Facebook, just search Twist My Arm Podcast. And you can find everything at one centralized location, TwistMyArmPodcast.com. One thing I do want to mention is the PodCon 21. We're doing a bit of a podcast convention in August. A bunch of different podcasters getting together, kind of doing workshops of sorts. I think you were going to get involved, Sean. Was that correct? Are you going to do that at all?
Yeah.
I can't remember if you were or not.
No. I'm involved. However you need me to be involved. I think.
Okay.
I think
He's
offered.
He's going to be handing out badges at the front door.
Yeah,
That's
of a digital. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Hell yeah! But it's completely free, so anyone who wants to hang out and join us can come do that. All the information is at our website, TwistMyArmPodcast.com, and you can sign up there. And that's about all. That's about all I got.
So I know that Jesse was on with Digital Dissection Podcast. Talking.
Jesse and Ricky were both
and
on
Ricky.
that.
I couldn't remember if it was you or Ricky. So they did. Digital Dissection is doing a 3-part episode series on Firefly. So the first episode is on the show. The second episode they had Chris Lott on, who we're having on next week to talk about the music of Firefly, and I'm guesting on tomorrow, or as you listen to this, whenever it comes out. For the review of the movie, specifically Just Serenity, the movie. We're going to talk about the movie. The quote game. Crap. I got to do this because, I don't know, it's only been a 2-hour-long episode.
It's never going to end, guys.
The quote game. Last thing. You come here and shoot at my family, I'm going to teach you a lesson, a real lesson now, mother effer. Put your effing mouth on the curb. That's the quote. You know what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I know what that is because that's
American History X.
That's one of the hardest scenes to watch.
Oh my gosh!
Did I just ruin something? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. The guests get to participate. It's just a game we play for the listeners. They seem to enjoy it. At least
you can roost your tail.
I don't care. Our website is Cheapseat.
So what to edit?
Yeah, I already got one F-bomb I got to edit. I'm not going to edit anything else. Visit our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. Facebook is Cheapseat Reviews. At CheapseatCast is our Twitter. CheapseatReviews@gmail.com. I don't know why I even say that anymore, but if you want to send us an email, you can. Be like the people from 2014 and actually send us emails and send us one. That'd be great. But really, Twitter and Facebook are the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Or send us a snap.
Or what? A snap? Sure. Send Andrew a snap of something inappropriate. That'd be great. And that's going to do it. So on behalf of Josh, Sam, Andrew, this is Sean saying thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week for Ready Player One. Next week. Ready Player One. We'll see you next week.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.